Give him up, give him up, give him up, give him up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nick's the serious one and I'm comedy. So Nick, do something serious.
I was going to welcome everybody as agents of transformation, and I think to give up your time on a Tuesday, I'd luckily ducked out of an SLT meeting, so I was very pleased to be here. To give up your time to be here is absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping that slides are going to change when I press this button. Yes? Bingo, so that's who we are. All right, so we're off. Jazz is going to tell a little bit about herself, I think.
Because tonight's about innovation, and one of the things I think about as a teacher and working with teachers is, do you remember the teacher you were before you started to become the teacher the system said you should be? Do you remember that teacher where there was nothing was impossible? We're going to change the world. Do you remember coming out of teacher training thinking, yeah, I'm going to do it? And I know things get in the way, and I know this is the hardest job in the world, apart from being a mum, which is also quite difficult. But when you go out of your way, when you step out of your comfort zone and you live this authentic teaching life, we really are agents of transformation. We really do change lives. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience, because 3 years ago today, I got fired. Not from a proper job, it was The Apprentice. I was fired at the end of the first week on The Apprentice. So you imagine my credibility went down the pan with every child I've ever taught straight away. And one of the reasons I was fired, Lord Sugar actually said, is that I was too positive. And while it was a devastating hit to be fired in the first week, it was that I couldn't help but smile, because the fact that I'm too positive is nothing short of a miracle. And the reason I'm too positive is because of people like you. It's because of teachers making a difference. So when I grew up, Nick said I should say I'm one of those safeguarding families. I don't know what that means.
Those of you that work with safeguarding know what that means.
Okay, if you're into safeguarding. So my family was horrendous. There were 6 kids, 4 different dads. Mum didn't really care. I did a lot of the parenting. We were beaten, we were abused, we were in and out of care. I was scared for my life most days, and I know true fear. We were sold to steal stuff for other families. So we were rented out to break the law. And that happened from 8 years old to 12 years old, where I finally ran away. And at 12, when I ran away, well, I didn't run away, got myself a boyfriend. Oh, yeah. Turned out to be a pimp. Didn't actually know that at the time. Was only 12. But I got myself a boyfriend. This guy is one of the 6 adults in my life, the other 5 were teachers, who actually invested in me, for the wrong reasons, invested in me, told me that I was worth something, made me believe in myself, and actually thought, you know what, I can do this, I can do this. Now, there was him speaking that to me, and then the 5 other people in my life that I'd heard that from were teachers. Teachers made a difference. Because I talk about having a why, making sure that you've really got a why. You know, the last question teachers ask themselves before they leave this profession is, why am I doing this? And if you get to that point, you better have a really good why, otherwise you're out of here. And our why is to transform lives. Oh, sorry, it's our why to collect data and do marking. I'm sorry, maybe. It's your why. My why has changed. Can I have the next slide?
Yeah.
Thank you. We're so good together. My why has changed over the years. When I was first at school, when I was going through this terrible time of abuse, my why was about surviving. And the teachers that wanted to teach me stuff and to give me what I needed to get me on in the world were very passionate towards that. It was no use to me. I needed to know, how do I make myself invisible so I don't keep getting beaten up at home? How do I stay out of the house so I'm not in danger of being raped by my stepdad? How do I make that work? But that information wasn't available to me, apart from 1 or 2 teachers who took the time out, not to solve the problems, not to whisk me away, but to stand by me, shoulder to shoulder, in the chaos that was my life. And just whenever I said I can't do it, they said, what would it look like if you could? Whenever I said I'm not worth it, they said, I believe in you, I'm right here. And I remember those people. I remember their names. My survive was about staying alive. And actually, through the time when I was taken out finally into care and I was safe, when I was with my boyfriend at 12, I knew it was going to look bad, so I gave myself up to social services. And I literally went into social services. I was out shopping with him and I ran and I said, I'm giving myself up. I'm not giving you my name, and I demand the right to remain silent. And they said, you're not under arrest. I'm like, no, I'm not going to say anything at all, but you can't send me home. I was definitely sure they wouldn't send me home. And so my why changed when I knew I wasn't in danger anymore. It changed to strive. And through secondary school, it was about putting distance between what happened as a child and me now. But that meant cutting everyone dead. And again, that meant being a troublemaker in school, and that meant causing fights, and that meant defending myself. And that meant not doing very well, and teachers thinking that, she's actually not trying her best, apart from 1 or 2. who said, I get it. I know you feel like this. I'm still here. It's fine. What can we do to start from where you are? Mistakes are fine. So what do we do to move on? They were constantly interrupting that conversation, that limiting conversation we have with ourselves, interrupting it to say something different, not what you believe. Then this strive went on to thrive, and I started to become a teacher, and I started paying it back, and it was all great. And I got married, and I had 3 kids, and I'm this picture of success. And no one knows about my past because I pretend to be middle class and quiet all the time. And it's working for me, and it's great. And I'm going out doing talks on literacy because I'm really passionate about that. And then I realised, I sort of look back and think, it's great that I've got this success, but there are kids in school that are who I was. This isn't my story, is it? This is some of your story. And it's not just our story, is it? It's kids in your class tomorrow. It's their story, only it's happening now. The details are different, but the impact is the same. So I thought, I can't stay. I can't be all this success and not help. So I've moved now. My why is about driving change. It's about being a catalyst for change. It requires me to be authentic and stand in front of you and share stuff about myself I've actively hidden for years, so I fit in with the straights. And I look normal. That's been my goal for so long. But meeting Nick and sort of chatting about, how do we create change? How do we be innovative? You've got to be authentic. And being authentic means being vulnerable. And vulnerability sucks. But actually, that's what people are attracted to. That's what learners are attracted to. So this whole journey for me has been about establishing what my why is and understanding, paying back to those teachers that stood in the way of me making wrong decisions. And at that point, where I had 5 teachers and 1 pimp who believed in me, I had a choice. And 5 is bigger than 1. So I went that way. But I'm telling you something, the draw to join a gang, the draw to be a prostitute, the draw to get involved in drugs was much stronger than anything you were offering me at school. So make it count, make it bigger, be real, see beyond what you're doing in that lesson, and realise that you are agents of transformation, and people like you saved my life. So thank you for that. Yeah.
So my bit's really boring. And is it 10 minutes each Mercedes? To put it into context, we've talked about what does that look like in the classroom, what does that look like in school? And I'm not going to go on about leadership, but it's really important that we recognise that we have different styles of leadership. We know that. But actually, we're not all extroverts. And I was an extrovert until I stood up here on stage and saw all you lot sat down now. I feel very introverted and very humble. And I just want to spend a couple of minutes on it because it's very easy for us to get swept along with these charismatic people that run through walls for their children. And we forget that the impact that the people that sit quietly and notice everything has. And noticing what others miss is what led Jazz to be standing here with us today. And that's really key. And that quiet passion that something's not quite right, that burns inside and may not ignite you as a leader, as a teacher, as maybe, Jackson will, I'm sure, because he's deeply introverted, as we know, does. But it keeps you going, and you keep going because you see the students like Jazz. We need to know, as extroverts, and I'm guilty of this, and it's probably they're having a great meeting back at school, because I'm not talking, but I'm talking now, is that we need to be aware of that as extroverts. And I'm very passionate that the quiet, introverted leader or teacher that doesn't say much but sees lots needs to have that voice, and we need to get that out. Because I talk of the analogy of running through walls. And I guess that the fact that you're all here, that resonates, because we've given up our time to be here to listen to some great presentations tonight. And we get that the students need more. And we need to run through walls for our young people. And whether it's a steely, quiet determination, that grit that keeps you going. And I know it's getting colder. Stood on the gate this morning, thought, wish I had a coat, but glad I didn't because it's now hot. And it's going to get harder, it's going to get darker. Our children will still keep turning up. Okay, and it's that resilience and that quiet, considered determination that some of our colleagues see things that we don't. So I've got an unofficial reading club outside my office at about 7 o'clock in the morning, which is brilliant. It's absolutely fascinating. They come in from miles, our kids, and they sit there and they're noticed. And that's what I need you to do. And I talk about relentless optimism, and I'm going to show you what I think that means for me. But it's not just the image, the video that I've ripped off. So if you made the video or you're part of Levi's, I apologise. It's innovative to steal other people's things and put your own stuff on it. We're at Google. I can't believe Jackson opened it with an Apple quote. I mean, that, like, you're going to get struck down by lightning over there. You know, so there are other brands, Jackson. Is that I want you to... Good job. We'll get invited back next year. I want you to just watch a video, and I want you to understand the meaning and the purpose behind it. Okay, because actually, regardless of whether you're up here, regardless of whether you're the extrovert in the playground shouting, bellowing at children, whether you're the person that sits there one-to-one doing your reading club, those things are noticed. We notice the people like Jazz. Okay, can we go to the next one? That is so much harder to do on Android. It's just easy on Mac. The key thing for me is, Jackson, leave the Mac jokes alone, please. We'll get kicked out. The key thing for me is that we ask, how can we do it better? And if you remember one thing tonight, remember Jazz's story. Remember that we're different, that we're introverted and extroverted leaders make a difference, that we all count. Remember to think about how you can do it better, because I think that sums it up. And that's enough for me.
And put your badge on. That badge, Sarah Interrupter, is because you are going to interrupt the conversations, interrupt the trajectory, not go on automatic. You're here to make a difference. That's how you do it. Thank you for listening. Have a great time.
Yeah.